Many times, money is a big problem for you, and that's why we need to make a good purchase without wasting our money. That's why I am pleased to present to you the best of the best from Xiaomi in terms of quality and price. The Poco F3 was one of the star phones from Xiaomi's sub-brand in 2021. Balanced in power, close to the high end, and at a low cost, it was a déjà vu of that Poco phone F1 that caused such a stir. The Poco F4 has a tough job. It has the challenging task of being better than its predecessor and justifying the extra amount we have to spend this year for the base version plus 128 gigabytes. The materials are the same, with glass on the back and plastic on the bezel that surrounds the phone, but the ergonomics are quite different. The camera module is also considerably larger, despite having only 3 cameras. This makes it wobble more when lying face down on a flat surface, something we can avoid with the case included in the box. Poco didn't want to take risks with the processor and opted again for the Qualcomm Snapdragon 870. It's surprising how a revision of the Snapdragon 865 Plus, a processor from 2 years ago, has turned out to be more efficient than many of its bigger brothers. In fact, during the presentation, Poco indicated that they preferred to equip the F4 with this processor over the Snapdragon 888, mainly for energy efficiency. Seeing that its sibling, the Poco X4 Pro, is equipped with the new MediaTek Dimensity 8100, we might look at it with a bit of envy. However, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 870 is a safe bet. A processor that can handle everything, consumes very little energy, and being a Qualcomm, it will allow a lot of tinkering with this Poco F4, such as installing the Google camera, custom ROMs when its update cycle ends, and more. If last year's Poco F4 already managed to win over the public by repeating a well-worn formula, there was no reason to believe that Poco would change its strategy with its new generation of the F series. This year, Poco has decided to split its F series into 2 variants. And although the Poco F5 Pro is the model that's grabbing all the attention, I'm afraid the Poco F5 is the most recommendable of the Poco series. The display has a diagonal of 6.67 inches and a full HD plus resolution of 2400 by 1080 pixels. It can reach a refresh rate of 120 Hz and is protected by a Gorilla Glass 5 panel. It stands out for producing vibrant colors and having well-achieved viewing angles, as no green or pink tints are noticeable when turning the screen, as is the case with other models of a similar price. The Poco F series has always stood out for its price-to-specs ratio, and this new generation is no different. The F5 comes based on the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 7 Plus Generation 2 platform, manufactured in a 4nm format and featuring 8 cores, including a high-performance Cortex-X2 core capable of reaching 2.9 GHz clock speed. It's paired with 8 or 12 GB of RAM, and the combination is flawless when carrying out any task, no matter how demanding. The Poco F5 performs exceptionally well in any situation and is even capable of pushing the graphics limits of some of the most demanding games available today, like CarX Street. The 5,000 mAh capacity is once again Poco's bet to power its new mid-range reference model. The Poco F5 more than delivers in this regard, being able to surpass a full day of use without too much trouble. Although Poco phones have that reputation for having a flashy appearance, this categorization does not apply to the F series, the premium line of the brand. But be aware that the Chinese company continues to refine its aesthetics, and the reality is that this Poco F6 does not need premium textures or materials like glass or metal to be visually appealing. It achieves this by focusing on harmony, simplicity, and aesthetic balance. It is not small, yet it is very manageable. Here, plastic works in its favor, creating a device with a good grip that is moderately light for its size and what is currently trending. A very interesting point, which even made me use it in a swimming pool, is its IP64 certification against water and dust. Not that I would submerge it in water, but accidents do happen, and this way, we minimize potential mishaps. If there is one standout feature in a phone, it is the screen. In this case, it is Gorilla Glass Victus, framed by rather generous bezels and a central hole for the selfie camera. In terms of specifications, it is an AMOLED panel of 6.67 inches with a refresh rate of 120 Hz and a resolution of 1.5K, compatible with HDR content. We now move to the standout category, the real strong point of the Poco F6, its power. The winning feature of this phone compared to the competition, and even its bigger sibling, is its processor, a Snapdragon 8S Generation 3, which, to put it simply, sits between the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 and the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2. In other words, a hybrid between the best high-end Android chip of 2023 and that of 2024. Putting aside the issue of bloatware, this aspect is outstanding from start to finish. And as an example, we conclude with the battery section. Its 5,000 mAh battery promises good autonomy, which, in conjunction with its hardware and energy optimization, is impressive. The Poco F6 Pro is a high-end device, and, as such, it is finished in glass and aluminum. This combination should be obvious, but it is common to find even more expensive phones finished in plastic. In fact, the Poco F5 Pro had non-metallic bezels, something that finally changes with this generation. Regarding sound, it features dual stereo speakers with a lot of punch. It lacks some bass, but it offers decent sound for the price at which this device starts. This phone includes a cooling system made up of a vapor chamber with a surface area of 5,000 square millimeters of stainless steel. Despite this, the high temperatures of southern Spain are starting to take their toll. This Poco has heated up considerably after running benchmarks and engaging in some intensive gaming sessions. With some rivals with Snapdragon 8S Generation 3 that we have on the test bench, this hasn't happened. Qualcomm needed a high-end processor for phones under $1,000, and to achieve this, it made a modification to its flagship SoC, the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3. It lowered the clock frequency a bit and adapted a slightly less powerful GPU, and thus the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8S Generation 3 was born. Meanwhile, the Generation 2 was the best option for phones in 2023, although it was released in 2022. Finally, the battery life is excellent, although we haven't been able to measure screen time. The HyperOS graphics do not show it on this phone. Despite not knowing this detail, I can guarantee that reaching 2 days of intensive use is more than feasible. Adding to this is the fact that the phone charges in just 20 minutes thanks to 120 watts, making the data even better. However, it does not support wireless charging. The Poco F6 Pro is the best example that you don't need to spend a large amount of money to have a high-end phone. Miracles don't exist. The camera is still somewhat limited, and the chip is not the latest on the market. Nevertheless, few quality-to-price propositions come to mind that are better than this if raw power is the priority. The Redmi Note 13 Pro has arrived on the market to revolutionize the mid-range segment. With specifications worthy of a high-end device, this smartphone promises a premium experience at an accessible price. Could it be the perfect phone for you? The crown jewel of the Redmi Note 13 Pro is its main camera with 200 megapixels and optical image stabilization. This setup allows for capturing images with an astonishing level of detail, rivaling those of premium devices. The main sensor is complemented by an ultra-wide lens with 8 megapixels and a macro camera with 2 megapixels. This versatility allows you to experiment with different photographic styles, from wide landscapes to detailed close-ups. The Xiaomi Note 13 Pro comes equipped with the powerful Snapdragon 7S Generation 2 processor, which offers solid performance for everyday tasks and moderate gaming. Combined with 8 GB of RAM, it ensures smooth multitasking and ample storage of 256 GB. The long-lasting battery with 5,100 mAh and fast charging at 67 watts ensure that the device is always ready for use, staying active throughout the day without issues. The Redmi Note 13 Pro is compatible with 5G connectivity. The Xiaomi Note 13 Pro has 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage. In the 512 GB models, the RAM increases to 12 GB. It features the Snapdragon 7S Generation 2 processor. And of course, this makes the phone quite decent for gaming and all kinds of editing. But you should understand that it is not a high-end phone, so don't push it too hard. Nevertheless, it is undoubtedly an excellent purchase at a good price. We live in a highly competitive world. And unfortunately, I find it difficult to carve out a space on this vast technology content platform, so please don't forget to like and subscribe. I wish you a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time.